why I can't get this patient. She's having very cold extremities, Raynaud's disease. She's super hot upper body, hot flashes. Like, she's heat above, cold below. And the liver channel is not helping. It's making it worse, actually. And I was getting frustrated sometimes. And some other times I would have the greatest experience with Saam. But I could feel that I needed something more that was missing. I was like, okay, there are 12 supplementing and 12 training, but what if there's more?
I'm Michael Max, and this is Geological, the podcast that curates East Asian medicine and methods through the power of conversation. Years ago, many of them now, I read the Earth-Sea trilogy by Ursula K. Le Guin. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember something to the effect of knowing something's true name means you have a real, consequential understanding of what it truly is. In essence, you have access to its secrets and power. Open up a book on acupuncture, and you'll see that the channels are not named lung or kidney, but hand tai-yin lung or foot xiao-yin kidney. These 6 confirmation names, of course, have meaning. Otherwise, they would not traditionally be there. But at least in my education, they were mostly overlooked, other than perhaps being a question for a test that I was expected to pass. Over the past few years, as I've studied and practiced Saam acupuncture, I've come to recognize the importance of those 6-level distinctions. What's more, I've found myself thinking of the channels by their full and complete name. For example, the arm tai-yang fire small intestine, or the foot xiao-yin water kidney channel. Not unlike the master of Earthsea, knowing the true name of something gives you information about it that both changes your awareness and your capacity to interact with it. Mostly, I've used the shorthand that we all do. I call the arm tai-yin lung. I call the arm yang-ming large intestine. I go directly to the organ and all the assumptions that I make about it. It's kind of a technical shortcut we use to communicate with each other about acupuncture, organs, and treatment. It's not wrong. It's just that it's not complete. Beyond that, it's easy to conflate Western ideas about the organs with traditional East Asian medicine ideas. That gets confusing for everybody, especially the practitioner. So it's more helpful when I constantly remind myself of the full potential and power of a channel by using its full name. Because when I think this way, I've got access to a more complete view of the nature of the channel and what it does. The name of the organ holds information. Knowing that it's related to, for example, tai-yang, that tells me something of its nature. Likewise, knowing a channel's phase, for example, fire, that also gives me a sense of its essential character. I'm not going to go into detail on all this right now, other than to invite you into an inquiry. I suggest investigating this for yourself. What shifts in your perception when you think not of the, air quotes here, liver channel, but the foot Dreyin wood liver channel? There is a power in names. It gives you a more textured sense of the capacity, function, and potential of the channels with which you're engaging. Knowing the names of the channels is important because if you know the name, you know the character as well. And when you know the character, you can use that to affect function in the body. It helps to know that the character of the tai-yang is cold, especially when you need to tap a cooling influence into the body. Likewise, knowing the xiao-yin is about heat, these two give you a handle on the thermostat of the body. In this conversation with Roseline Lambert, We explore with her how she started with doing straight up Saam 4-needle treatments, then cottoned onto the dynamics of the 5 phases and character of the 6 environmental chi. That and a Facebook Saam group posting opened her eyes to using the 4 needles to more specifically affect the interior climate of the body. Add in her interest and exploration using abdominal palpation, and she had a foundation for charting how a theory actually unfolds in clinical practice. She's found some reliable and repeatable patterns, and beyond that, a way to navigate the channels in a way that is both helpful to her patients and gives her a more detailed map of the temperature terrain in the human contraption. Whether or not you use the Saam method, there is some good stuff that you'll want to be taking notes on. Pull out a notebook and a pencil. We'll get right into it after a few words from the folks who make it possible for you to enjoy Qiological. These conversations come to you through the generous support of our sponsors and members. You have clinical challenges, our sponsors have solutions. The cold and flu season is about to begin. Stock up with formulas to keep everybody healthy from Blue Poppy. Mayway focuses this month on brain function and cognitive health. Do you like working with palpatory diagnosis and have a taste for how the classics describe acupuncture? Slade Burris has a foundations class in neoclassical acupuncture coming up this month. Would you rather spend your time talking to patients instead of writing clinic notes? Later in the show, we'll tell you about how Jane's AI scribe can do the writing for you. And with AcuFast needles, it's possible to have one needle heal twice because it heals your patient and the planet. Do be sure to visit the sponsors page on the Qiological website to take advantage of all the special offers our terrific sponsors have for listeners of the podcast. Running a smooth clinic starts with having the right support, and that's where Blue Poppy comes in. With cold and flu season right around the corner, now is the perfect time to stock up on their original Cold Quell. This September, enjoy 15% off their entire Originals line, including formulas for allergies, hypertension, acid reflux, and more. Even better, Blue Poppy offers free shipping on all orders over $50, no restrictions within the continental U.S. For nearly 40 years, Blue Poppy has supported licensed acupuncturists with premium quality products and a steady commitment to exceptional service. Visit bluepoppy.com today and see why so many practitioners trust Blue Poppy. Be sure to subscribe to their mailing list for exclusive offers and updates.
Hi folks, I'm Yvonne Lau, president of Mayway Herbs. September is a time for sharpening the mind. And this month at Mayway, we're focusing on cognitive health and supporting brain function through Chinese medicine. In our newsletter and podcast, we'll explore herbal approaches to maintaining cognition in aging patients, traditional Chinese medicine strategies for cognitive decline, and insights from practitioners on children's health and the future of TCM education. Since 1969, Mayway Herbs has been a trusted source for high-quality herbal products. Our Plumflower brand line includes pills, tablets, extract granules, and organic herbs. And along with educational resources, articles, and videos, we're here to help you provide the very best patient care. Visit us at Mayway.com to explore more. Thanks as always for your support. And here's to cultivating clarity and resilience with the wisdom of real Chinese medicine.
Hi, I'm Kylie Roger, and I practice neoclassical acupuncture, a palpatory style which gives you instant feedback. This style has made me more present, more precise, and it's elevated my clinical results, and I'm not alone in this. Here's what other practitioners have to say.
The neoclassical skills that I learned have really streamlined the way that I make my diagnoses, which result in a faster treatment. The patients like it, they like the results, and I'd recommend it for anyone that wants to add another skill set to their toolbox.
Practicing neoclassical acupuncture has been a life-changing experience for myself and my practice. I've seen remarkable results in my patients and gained greater confidence as a practitioner. I highly recommend.
Neoclassical acupuncture has completely changed my practice, and I love the amazing and lasting results that I see with the medicine.
Start your journey with neoclassical acupuncture with the Foundations course this September. Visit neoclassicalacupuncture.com and transform your practice.
Roseline Lambert, welcome to Geological.
Thank you, Michael Max. Newer practitioners. I heard about you when I was just about to graduate from acupuncture school, and you oriented my whole practice with your acupuncture podcasts.
Wow. It had that kind of an impact.
Yeah, you did. I didn't tell you that. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't. It's weird. I've been doing this for like 8 years now. And for me, it's just persistence. For me, it's just, I get to talk to somebody new and interesting every week. Lucky me. It's like being able to spin a wheel and bring up somebody interesting. So I don't think about it in terms probably of like how listeners perceive it. So it's always weird just sitting here in my little podcast studio, the extra room of the house, Geological International.
Yeah, you do have an impact for sure on some people. And that's the beauty of it. You don't really see it until someone tells you.
Yeah, I spend time here just like shouting into the void. I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I got into Saam acupuncture because of the podcast you did with Toby Daly. And it must have been one of your first Saam subject podcast.
Yes, quite a while ago. It's number 45. I remember that.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
And I got really interested, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to dive in as soon as I finished my board exam.
Yeah, because it won't help you in your board exams.
It doesn't help, and
It will make you fail your board exams.
Completely. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it some time. But the first year of practice, I started right away.
What was it about Saam that caught you at that very tender early moment? You're not even graduated yet, and yet there's something in you that goes, ooh, I want to know more about this. What was that?
I think it was the observation of the Saam that makes diagnosis not easier, but maybe appear a little bit simpler. Because when you study TCM, you have all these different patterns and all these questions and the tongue and pulse, and you can get really lost very easily. So many branches we can take, so many different point combinations. And at the time, and even now, sometimes I feel like it's a hit or miss. We're like a little bit in the dark sometimes, especially when people come and they have very complicated cases. So the observation is not something that we learned at school much. And I was just drawn to it. It's like, when you were both describing maybe the different presentation of people. Someone is very extroverted, loud voice, and almost a little bit aggressive and out there, and it's like gallbladder excess. So these things that we can observe right away. I got interested in the whole mentality, maybe, in the whole presentation, how people present themselves, and dry skin and oily skin and red face and cold feet, and all these observations that are much more easier and accessible to everybody than taking pulse. Taking pulse takes forever to master.
It takes a long time to master, if you master it.
Yes.
Some of us are like, okay, it tells me something sometimes.
Yes.
Or I can use this to, excess or deficiency. Let me feel. Oh, deficiency. There's that. Yeah, one of the cool things about it, about the Saam, about the observation, as you were just saying, is it lets you dial in some possibilities. Instead of looking at the whole thing, our friend Daniel Schulman says, anything can be anything in Chinese medicine, which is true and it's cool, except when you're a practitioner and you're trying to be helpful, anything can be anything is not helpful, because you have to figure out what's the something that I need to pay attention to. How do we know how to pay attention? Well, observation.
Mm-hmm.
Physical observation is really key. We're very visual animals. And if we can use that in some way to our advantage, to dial in, oh, maybe this part of reality, not that part of reality.
Yeah.
It simplifies things.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. Clinic is always very difficult, but
Is it, wait a minute, is it always really difficult? Or are there times you go, oh, click, 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 yep, I think it's this.
There are some times like this. It just clicks. And I think for me, maybe that's how Saam came into my practice, in the sense that it gave me another tool that made it a little bit simplest for me to simpler.
Not simplistic, yes, simpler. You know, this, I got very interested in Dr. I don't know if you do herbs at all, but I got very interested in Dr. Huang's work some years ago with herbs, because he also uses a kind of observation-based way of looking at, is this a Ma Huang person? Is this a Chai Hu situation? Is this a Huang Qi situation? Instead of trying to look at all of reality, you know, and puzzle it out, you can start with, yeah, for sure, this is not a Guager person. What else am I looking at?
So at least, yeah.
Or maybe they wear a scarf
Being able.
around their neck in the middle of summer because they don't like the draft of the air conditioner. You go, oh, maybe Guager, right? I'll take a look and rule it out, but I'm going to start with that. And it seems the Saam allows us to do that. We can start with something and then try to disprove it.
And discard also all the possibilities that are not, in this case, applicable, actually. So it makes it...
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
But you have to tune your observation.
Yeah.
How?
And observation and listening. Because there's also... For me, it's a lot about listening. So I listen with my hands, and I listen, I don't know, try to listen with my heart and with my soul, and listen to the language they bring you in. This patient, she was telling me, one case is we might discuss today, actually, when we get to the main subject of the cooling and warming. But she was telling me, she's like, I was having this electrical pain. It's like electrical shock at night. You're like, what is this? This is not cold. This seemed like it could have been maybe wood, but for me it was more fire. And she's, yeah, and then the only way I can get the pain to disappear is when I contract my leg. So she was imitating the action of water.
Oh.
So for me, that's listening. That's observation, but from their own language that they bring to the clinic. And they don't know. Very often I tell them, what you just said is a gem of information right there. They don't know. They're like, oh, I just contract my leg. Oh my God, that was like the key to her diagnosis. And one treatment, it was all done.
Wow. So you're listening in a way that whatever a patient says, you're pinning it back to one of the channels and the action of that channel.
I'm trying to. Sometimes they don't know how to express, or they don't know how to say what's bothering them. But there is always like one word sometimes that you'll catch. I have this other patient, he has skin issues, and I asked him, where is it that you feel the best? Is it when it's dry? Is it when it's damp? What kind of climate? And he said, in the desert was the best time of my life for the skin, or if I go to a mountain and it's cool and dry. So I was like, that's a craving for metal.
Yes.
So we worked a little bit around that together. So really trying to listen to what they're bringing in. And and then I ask weird questions, I guess, sometimes, and they look at me, they don't really know why. I'm just like, bear with me. Just trying to understand, how did that start? When did the pain start? What was happening in your life? Because sometimes they have the problem for 20 years. And you ask them, when did that start? And I remember one of my migraine patients, she was telling me, oh, it started about the same time of my first pregnancy. I'm wondering if it's also like part of relationship in her marriage. And then she just laughed. She just, oh, the kids they're out of the house now. They don't give me a headache anymore. So I was like, okay. I look into maybe heart and bladder, which connects to the heart, and maybe kidney as well. Anyway, that was very interesting.
It sounds to me like you are doing a kind of ongoing translation, that you're listening to what your patients are telling you. And, it's like sifting for gold, like panning for gold in a stream. Scoop something up, sift, 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 sift. They're telling you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using the language that they use. They're using the metaphors that they use. It's not up to them to be clear and tell us their diagnosis. My suspicion is people are constantly doing that. The bottleneck is me. The bottleneck is me being able to sift out, this thing that they just said.
Yeah.
What does that connect to? Does this connect to kidney? Does this connect to large intestine? Is this an excess thing they're telling me about, or is this a deficient thing they're telling me about? And to be able to, it's like once you can pin that into the correct, I'm going to say piece of the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the channels as a matrix. Once you can pin it to the matrix that it connects to, it's like everything else falls into place.
Yeah. It's pretty cool when it happens.
Yeah. Did you ever see, this was years ago, a thing called the magic eye? There are these images and they just look like static on a TV. They look like nothing, just a bunch of squiggles and color. But if you look at it and you kind of gaze and soften your eyes, a 3D image comes out.
Oh, yeah. I used to do this all the time. Yeah.
Yeah?
When I was a kid. Oh, I love those.
Those are great.
Yeah.
And then once you're in the image, you can look around and see how everything connects to everything.
Yeah. And not everybody could get it. You really needed, relax some of those muscles in the eyes. Yeah. It's a good metaphor. It's a good image for sure.
I feel like that's what it is.
It is. Sometimes they come in and it's so blurry and you can't adjust your lens.
Uh-huh.
And eventually, poof, it all comes together. Yeah.
Yeah. So you listen a lot.
I try to, yeah.
Well, it's practice. It takes a long time to get good with this stuff.
Yeah, because sometimes you look and you don't know what you're saying. I think observation is not just looking. It's also listening. It's also feeling. That's also why I use my hands a lot. And smelling, and all the senses must be alive and present. Although some people don't have the sense of hearing and they still feel a lot, and everything else is enhanced to kind of counterbalance. But we need to be in the present to really be able to do that. If we're too much in our head thinking, we're missing the whole language and that is happening visually and with the sound and the voice, the pace of the people talking.
Yeah. You talk about using your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that. Seems like, in my experience, palpatory information can be helpful because I'm not using my thinking senses. I'm like sensing, not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I tend to think more than I sense. And one of the reasons I like palpation, it forces me to break a frame that I'm comfortable with and pay attention to other things. Tell me about your experience with palpation, what brought you to it, and what you're attending to when you're palpating to treat with Saam. Toby talks about using some palpation, but just a little bit. And it sounds to me like you're a little bit more comprehensive with what you're doing.
I am still exploring this whole palpation, but I do also Japanese acupuncture, so that's probably where it came from.
Yeah.
But I don't think of myself as an intellectual. I do think intellectual. I am very stimulated intellectually, but first and foremost, I'm a feeler. And I'm a musician, and that's probably where it's coming from. I'm a feeler. I need to feel more to understand. if it's too much in the brain, sometimes I get lost. I also need to feel it in some ways in my body. When I graduated in 2019 and I started practicing in full-on pandemic, July 2020. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, there's a bit of a challenge.
Yes. And so, but my, the clinic that I joined, the owner of the clinic, my mentor, she was an acupuncturist and also social worker, psychotherapist. She was practicing Japanese acupuncture. So at the time when I started practicing there, of course, we had a lot of time because it was pandemic, and I was having sometimes some treatments with her, and I always thought it was very interesting because she would palpate me somewhere and then she would put the needles elsewhere, and then boom, the pain would disappear in my stomach and my shoulder, neck, or whichever area she was working on. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's like magic.
Yes.
Yeah. And so eventually we ended up finding some time for her to teach me and some of my colleagues. We had a little in-person, I think we were maybe 3 or 4 people studying together Japanese acupuncture with the palpation. So we did a few in-person sessions, and it was amazing. I loved it because I could feel more things, and yeah, and if you have pain in a certain area, let's call it the immune area, then you have the immune points, and you have like a few options for you to get rid of the pain in the immune area, and boom, and then the patient sees it, the patient feels it, and the patient also seems to believe in the treatment a little bit better. So the results were very amazing.
It is extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
when you press on something and it's tender. The person, they wince. You might not even be pressing very hard either.
Yeah.
And they wince. Clearly there's something there. You put a needle somewhere else. You go back in and press.
And they don't feel it. Yeah.
Like gone. All right. So it, for sure, that's an extraordinary experience for the person on the table, you know?
Mm-hmm. And for me too, I'm like, okay, I'm doing some magic here. And, you know, first year coming out of school, you're starting to make magic. You would think it would take, I don't know, a few years for you to master that and see really good results. Because I don't do acupuncture just for people to come in and then they feel stressed and they feel better. No, I want to get them much better. I want them to truly believe that acupuncture can have a major impact on their lives. I do believe in it strongly. So maybe I put some pressure on myself sometimes, but I want them to have a very positive and life-changing experience.
Well, putting some pressure on ourselves is what moves us forward.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's right. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, too much pressure to the point of freezing, that's not useful. Mm-hmm. But enough pressure to recognize, you know what? My results are not commensurate with what I think is possible. Or to try a new technique, or I've learned a new thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how it works in clinic. Oh my God, I just used 1 or 2 needles and cleared all the problems in this person's abdomen. Do I dare just use 2 needles?
Yeah.
What will the patient think if I only use 2 needles?
It's wild.
Will they feel cheated? I mean, there's all kinds of pressure we put on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually helpful. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And we need something that allows us to screw up our courage so that we can jump into something new like you've done. You've taken these 2 different traditions. You've taken what you've learned from the Japanese tradition, which is extraordinary. And now you've married it together with something new that you're learning. Mm-hmm. I don't know other people that are doing what you're doing with Saam. You're a little bit off the rails here. It's cool.
I think I am a little bit. Oh, actually, yeah. But and I use my patients a little bit like guinea pigs, and I can tell you about this when this whole merge of the 2 practices came into place. But it's funny because I was telling my patients, oh, I just came across new formulas. bear with me for a second. I need to concentrate myself. And then they laugh because they're like, take me as your guinea pig. That's fine. And they're long-term patients and they're really excited to see if it's going to help. And sometimes it was doing wonders. But I had this moment where I was feeling like I could write on the walls, and I was going crazy, literally putting these two things together and trying to figure it out. The cooling and warming of the channels of the Saam tradition.
This episode is brought to you by Jane, the clinic management software designed to help you provide great care for your patients. Appointments can feel like they're over in the blink of an eye, which is why it's so important to make the most of your time with your patients. With online intake forms, Jane helps you arrive prepared to maximize your moments together. Start by automating the intake experience. Jane can automatically send out forms at the time of booking and a gentle email or SMS reminder if there are any unfinished documents. You can also choose to collect consent, credit card information, and insurance details through your intake forms before your patient even arrives. You'll start appointments informed with all the information you need, organized in easy-to-find spots on their profile. To learn more about Jane, head to meet.jane.app/documentation, where you can book a demo or sign up if you're ready to go. Oh, and be sure to use the code QIOLOGICAL for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. Tell us more about that cooling and warming. Look, we all know that temperature is an important thing in herbal medicine. And I think we know that as you go around the 5 phases, you got some things that are hot, like the heart. You got some things that are cold, like the water. Mm-hmm. You have some things that are in between or that kind of thing. But it sounds like you're just, you've gone into the heating and cooling aspect. You sound like an HVAC technician. You sound like you're a heating and air conditioning expert here, but using acupuncture. How did this come to you? And beyond that, because look, lots of things come to us. How did you proceed to implement and explore that?
Mm-hmm. It was on this Facebook group chat of Saam acupuncturists.
Right. Oh, yeah, the one that Phil Sugar put together. Yeah.
Yes. So that's probably the only reason I'm still on Facebook is because of that group, because there's a lot happening in there. It's so inspiring. And so I'm on that group chat, and sometimes I look at posts, and Joshua Park posted something about the tradition, saying, there's supplementing of Saam and there's draining Saam, but there's also a third way to treat in Saam tradition, which isn't really used so much, but it's the cooling and warming of the channel. And I literally had this big epiphany, like there was an explosion happening, as if I had discovered a new galaxy. Seriously, like this moment. It was like, what?
Uh-huh.
Really? That was like the missing piece, because I was feeling some frustration and limitations in my Saam practice. And then whenever I was lost, I was using Japanese, and sometimes I was like, why I can't get this patient? She's having very cold extremities, Raynaud's disease. She's super hot upper body, hot flashes. Like she's heat above, cold below. And the liver channel is not helping. It's making it worse, actually. And I was getting frustrated sometimes. And some other times I would have the greatest experience with Saam. But I could feel that I needed something more that was missing. I was like, okay, there are 12 supplementing and 12 training, but what if there's more? And then he gave me that piece of information. But then really in his message, he only said, here is the formula, and we don't really know how to apply it. Like this, there was no indication, there was no teaching around that. I don't know. Maybe they knew how to apply it at the time. So I was like, okay, but how can I use this in practice? You can't just give me a formula and tell me like this is the formula and then not tell me how to use it.
Oh, but wait a minute. He didn't give you a formula.
He did give, well,
He gave you a principle.
yeah, he gave the recipe. For me, it was the recipe, the principle. Yes, it was if you want to cool a channel, so you will tonify the water points and you will drain the fire. And of course, you use also
Of that channel.
So you basically, okay, I have to concentrate, so I'm not. So you cool, you tonify the water on the actual channel, the affected channel, but you also tonify the water point on the water channel. And then you reduce the fire on the affected channel and you reduce the fire on the fire channel. So you're basically double water supplementing and double fire draining. And that has the effect of cooling the channel. You may also drain the child. If you want to cool, you drain the child. And if you want to warm, you tonify the parent. And that's where like cooling for me, eventually I ended up realizing the cooling is much more potent than the warming because it involves draining the child, which is in the formula of draining channels in general. And then for the warming, you supplement the parent, which is more in the traditional formula of supplementing a channel. So it was just like, yeah, he just gave us the recipe, how to apply it. And he gave an example of points selection. And I was like, okay, well, now I need to figure out all those points. I need to make all those charts so I can see them and find a way to look at the points so I can actually use them in practice. And I'm not completely lost with the extra 48 new formulas that I can use.
Yeah.
And then with that, I was like, okay, but how do I know? How do I know how to apply it? I cannot use the regular observation that I'm using with Saam. I think it's a little bit different. So I started using my palpation skills from the Japanese acupuncture of the fire points because they do palpate fire points. And if there's pain at kidney 2, for example, then we'll nourish kidney 7 and kidney 10, the water and the middle point. And then we put at the right place, and then kidney 2 gets better. And then we have extinguished the fire via the overacting water. We want to, reinforce that acting action. And then the middle will also feed the water. So I was okay. I can use my palpation skills for the fire points. What about the water points?
Okay, wait, hang on a second here.
I'm going too fast.
Okay, you just blew my mind a little bit.
Sorry.
No, this is great. I just want to slow down a little bit, make sure I understand.
Yes.
Make sure our listeners are coming along. So first of all, you're using 4 needles, which is this trademark thing.
Yes.
But instead of turning a channel on, just its channel energy, you're looking to affect the temperature in that channel. And so, for example, if you're going to cool it, you're going to do the water point. Let's just pick a channel out of thin air just to play with it. Say the triple burner channel.
Yes.
All right, we're going to cool the triple burner.
Okay, let's do that.
And so you're going to tonify the water point on the triple burner channel, and you're going to reduce the fire point on the triple burner channel. Is that correct?
Yes. So I would tonify Sanjiao 2, which is the water point on the Sanjiao.
Yep.
And I would reduce Sanjiao 6, which is a fire point.
Which is the fire point. Okay. So
yes,
like on that local environment of that channel, you just brought using the 5 phases as we all understand it, because that's basic Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
You just first of all turned on the air conditioner.
Yes.
And you turn it down a bit. At the same time, you're going to the kidney channel and tonifying the water point, which would...
In that case, it would be the bladder channel because we're within the yang.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So this is a thing, and people may not get this. I forget it, and then I remember it. that, because it's so easy. Generally speaking, in Chinese medicine, we favor the yin channels and we just forget about the yang channels. Mm-hmm. Right? The yang channel, not that important. Hollow organ, whatever. But with Saam, the yang organs get equal treatment.
Yes.
Fair play.
Very much.
As the yin organs. We don't preference one over the other. So, yes, so you would go to the yang, which would be urinary bladder.
Yes. So we tonify the water point.
And tonify the water point, which is UB66.
Mm-hmm.
That's one spicy point.
Yes.
And then you're going to go to the small intestine.
Correct.
Yang fire, and you're going to sedate small intestine 5.
Yes.
Okay. So in a sense, you're doing the microcosm of the triple burner, but you're also like general cooling for the whole system as a whole.
Yeah. It has a systemic effect.
Yeah. You're doing systemic and focused local at the same time.
For me, it's not just, and I'll give you examples of how I used it. It's not just in the channel. It can also apply more systemically. So you got the formula right. And that's the main formula. But there's also a second formula, which is confusing. I know.
Well,
we can focus on that.
Chinese medicine. Yeah. Chinese medicine is confusing, and Chinese medicine, look, there's always more than one way to do something.
Yes.
Right?
There's probably a third one and a fourth one, but
okay.
At least from what I've heard. And the second formula, it's about the draining of the child. And I don't know if this is the best example because Sanjiao is fire element. Mm-hmm. So let's just take large intestine, for example.
Why not the Sanjiao?
Because we're already using, so it's the Sanjiao is fire, and so now let me think a little bit. So it's just I'm looking at the points. I want to pick another one that's more different because of the supplementing of the water 5 element, overacting and supplementing. I want to give you an example that's more different because Sanjiao has bladder 66 in both formulas. And I want to give you a formula that's different.
Okay.
That doesn't have, yeah. So the large intestine, for example, the points are more different. So this is metal. So we are reducing.
It's yang metal.
It's yang metal, yes. So we will be tonifying the water Li2 and reducing the fire point Li5 on the large intestine channel. Mm-hmm. And then we also, let's say we talk about the first formula, we tonify bladder 66, same thing, and and small intestine 5, same thing. These come back in all the formulas, basically. But then if we look into the second formula, which is the draining of the child, we'll use the same tonification of water point Li2 and reducing of Li5. Mm-hmm. But then we want to drain the child, which is the water.
Yang water.
So we drain yang water. So we drain the fire of the fire point on the bladder channel. So we drain bladder 60 and we want to nourish the grandparent actually and cool down a little bit the metal. So we want to melt the metal a little bit. So we want to nourish small intestine. So fire, but the water of the fire, if that makes sense. So we tonify small intestine too.
Oh, I see it.
So we use the 5 elements. So we, within the 5 elements, the fire melts the metal with its controlling action. So if the metal is too strong and we need to cool it down a bit, so we need to reinforce the fire. But it's interesting because here we're talking about cooling, and it's the large intestine, so it's metal. So we will actually tonify the fire, but the water aspect of the fire in this case to cool down and to melt the metal. And then we drain also of the water to cool down. It's a bit.
So we're looking at 2 different ways of adjusting, I'm going to say, the global temperature.
Mm-hmm.
right? With each of these, you're doing the same points on the target channel.
Yes.
But you've got two different ways of adjusting the global environment.
Yes.
One of those is with sedating fire. One of those is with increasing water through draining. No?
No, one of those is by the first formula is it's still about fire and water. The first formula is the simplest one. We just tonify water and reduce fire. Boom.
Boom. Simple.
The second formula is working with the function of nurturing, feeding, counter, overacting, controlling, and the dynamic of the 5 elements and how they influence each other. So that's the draining, that's the cooling, but the warming formula is different because the warming formula is not a draining one, it's a tonifying one. Because if we look at the 5 elements, the water controls the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to nourish, let's say we want to warm, we just need to cool down. It's the excess of overacting, basically. You know, there's too much cold, the water is too strong, and it's just going to extinguish the fire. So in order to warm up the channel, we want to make the heat stronger. So we need to cool down the water that's extinguishing the fire. But if we want to cool a channel, that's actually the fire that's too strong, that's insulting the water.
Oh. This second one is more dynamic. You're really bringing into play the draining aspect, which pulls things along the creation cycle. And you're also at the same time ramping up the control.
Yes, the second formula is a little bit more dynamic, although if we just look at cooling and warming of the channel, if we just think about the 5 elements, there is definitely, the fire is definitely insulting and the cooling is definitely a little bit stronger in its effect in general, I would say. But yes, the second formula, either in cooling or in warming, it's a little bit more working with the controlling sequence and the insulting and yes.
It's handy to have made a chart, isn't it?
Oh, my charts, I use them all the time. I don't know these formulas by heart. And the way I put the chart together is I can see right away which points. So on one side of my chart, I see the points I want to reduce. And on the other side, I want to see the points that I want to tonify. Because I use the palpation to confirm my diagnosis. That's where the palpation comes into effect. So that's how I was, okay, I'm going to use the fire points to help me diagnose the channel. That's the only way I could see it working. So I was like, okay, I'm looking into liver, for example. Like liver 2 on a lot of people is very painful. Sometimes it's very screaming. So if I press on liver 2 and there is pain and there's also tightness, I can feel the tightness. And then I press on liver 8, which is the water point, and I feel it sinking and I feel an emptiness, then I might want to adjust the fire and water within that channel. So I use the liver 2 to tell me, okay, this is a good channel to drain the fire. But then I need the other point. I need to make sure that it's the right formula that I'm choosing. So which other point would I be draining in that cooling of the liver is heart 8. So then I go palpate heart 8. And if I have confirmation of pain and tightness in there as well, and then I have liver 8 and kidney 10, that's also more empty, then I have my formula.
Wow. Okay. This is... I'm going to stay with this for a second. I want to get this. Because this... first of all, you're talking to your patients, you're using language, you're trying to put together what they're telling you in terms of what channels it may be. So that's a kind of thinking, observing, maybe looking for red faces, that kind of thing. But what really ticks the box for you is what you feel.
Yeah.
You'll listen to all that other stuff. It'll give you some ideas, but the palpation has to prove the theory for you. Do I have that right?
Yes. Correct. That's exactly how I'm working.
Okay. Now you go and find a fire point like liver 2. It's, ooh, yeah, that's on. I'm going to go check liver 8, right, which would be the water point.
Yes.
Ooh, squish it, like it's missing something. Now, if liver 8 was also exquisitely tender, you'd probably scratch your head and go, what am I missing?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
We're going to come back to that in just a second.
Yes.
So there's that first pass of it. Oh, the liver 8 has to be, in a sense, non-reactive. And then you're going to go to the fire point of the heart, because I'm trying to put this in my mind. You're going to the fire point of the heart. Why are you going to the fire point of the heart? Tell me again.
So this one, it's because if I look at the first formula, it's the fire point on the fire channel. But it also happens to be the same point in the second formula because it's the child.
Okay, we'll stay with the first one for now.
For first formula.
All right.
Yes.
Keep it simple in the beginning.
Oh, keep it simple. Fire point on the fire channel. We want to drain. We want to cool.
We want to drain.
Yeah.
But we only want to drain it if it's tender, and you go and you palpate. Yep, tender. Okay, I got my confirmation. You're good to go.
Yeah, and then I use also the abdomen to triple confirm.
Okay, that's a good idea. We'll get to that in a second. Now, I'm curious, do you ever go palpate liver 2 and then palpate a point that would treat it to see if it gets better? In other words, would you maybe go to liver 8 and just put a little attention on it like you're treating it and see if it changes how the liver 2 feels? Do you ever test things that way?
I test the abdomen.
Okay, this is your triple check, and you test the abdomen.
That's my triple check, yeah.
Okay, so tell us about what you're doing on the abdomen.
So in the abdomen, and this is coming from Thomas Sorensen, he had a presentation on one of the platforms, which I don't recall which one. It might have been the geological platform, actually. He was talking about the palpation of the 5 elements in the stomach, in the hara, because he's also doing Japanese. I need to meet this guy, by the way. But so I started using a little bit of the palpation in terms of 5 elements years ago, like when I listened to his episode, his little small.
Oh, I think that was Thomas Sorensen. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. Did I not say properly? Thomas Sorensen. Yes.
Yeah.
So I use the 5 elements palpation, which connects a little bit also to the palpation of the Japanese palpation that I'm using. Mm-hmm. And then, for example, if I want to cool the liver channel, very often it will show a fire excess, a water deficiency, and a wood deficiency in the abdomen. So I palpate for the 5 elements excess, and I palpate for the 5 elements deficiency. Sometimes they all hurt. That's not helping so much. But sometimes it's only just a few points, and it gives me a really clear picture. And so I will often search confirmation. Okay, there's a wood deficiency, there's a water deficiency, and there's a fire excess. So what I do is that I will, for example, just put my hand on wood deficiency and it hurts when I press on it. Then I will massage and press on liver 8 for a few seconds and then just concentrate there. And then I go back to wood deficiency and I see, is there a change? If there's no change, that might not be the route to take. And then I start again from scratch, or I take another direction, because I probably have 2 or 3 ideas at the back of my mind anyways of what else I could do. And very often, if I get the right treatment, then it'll give me also release at water deficiency and a release at fire excess. That's what I'm looking for just by pressing on liver 8.
This is so 3-dimensional.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I told you when I started putting this together, I could write on walls. My patients were we were having quite a good laughs, and they were looking at me trying to find the formulas and put all of this together. Now I'm not as crazy as I was, but in a crazy in a positive way. But I sometimes I tell them give me a second, and then they stop. They look at me and they're like, "Oh, you went into your Rolodex, right?"
Yes, you did.
Yeah, the Rolodex is happening. It's always turning.
Yeah. Now, I love your creativity with this. First of all, I just want to say your creativity and insight it's a little bit delicious. So appreciate that you're sharing it with us. Coming back to the abdomen for your tertiary checking, are you checking Mu points? Are you checking like anatomical locations? What do you say you check for the liver on the abdomen, or you check for the kidney on the abdomen? Where are you checking?
Yeah, I can definitely explain to you the map. So basically the fire excess is in the heart front mu area. So so either pericardium, heart, small intestine, or sanjiao, you'll find a fire excess in there. And then there is...
Mm-hmm. And you're palpating along where?
Ren 14, which is
Ren 14.
The front mu of the heart, yes.
Okay.
And that whole area just under the xiphoid process, usually.
Mm.
And then you have metal excess, which is under the right hypochondriac area. So it's actually the opposite of what Toby is teaching, I believe. So the metal excess would be reflected into the right side, and the left hypochondriac area is wood excess.
That would be the wood.
And then the earth excess would be Ren 12 area. And then on each side of Ren 12, along the stomach channel, that's where I will find usually the water excess.
Oh, that's interesting. So you go out like to the kidney line?
No, I go to the stomach line, which is what
You go to the stomach line?
Stomach 21.
Uh-huh. That's where you find the water excess?
Yes.
You find it above the navel, not below.
Everything above the navel, above Ren 9 actually. Ren 9 is a deficiency point, but above Ren 9 is excess, and Ren 9 and under is deficiency.
So tell me what you're palpating under Ren 9.
So Ren 9 is fire deficiency. And so you have, the Ren 7, just under the umbilicus, is the water deficiency.
Water deficiency.
And then you have, stomach 26, 27 on both sides on the right side is metal deficiency, and on the left side is wood deficiency. So in the Kiko style acupuncture Japanese, it's the same area as Oketsu for wood deficiency, and immune is metal deficiency, and they do connect to my clinical experience. And then you have, I'm still trying to figure out some details and refinement on the palpation, but I have observed that the pericardium in the sanjiao doesn't always show up in the fire deficiency area. It actually shows up a little bit on the side. So along the stomach channel as well, like stomach 24 would be more like a pericardium in a sanjiao deficiency, more than the center Ren 9 actually. And the same when I palpate the fire excess, very often I find that if it's just heart or small intestine, it will be mainly localized around Ren 14. But if I have more like a sanjiao and a pericardium, it'll extend a little bit on the side. So it's basically like upper hypochondriac, but like very close to the heart. So I get some information as if it's like the alternate fire, or is it the actual small intestine and heart fire?
There's something that we talk about a lot in Chinese medicine that I have had trouble understanding, and I still have trouble understanding. I'm constantly trying to figure it out. It's called the ministerial fire. Mm-hmm. And people often mention ministerial fire, and I'm supposed to shake my head like I know what that is. Ministerial fire is one of those things, I feel like a complete idiot around it. It's weird. Ministerial fire is a weird thing. Imperial fire, I get.
Yeah.
But that ministerial sort of triple burner, pericardium, the organs that have a function but no form, they're very weird.
It's a mystery.
There's a lot of mystery around it. And so as I hear you talking about how you approach these, it puts another tick in the box for me of, yeah, that's that weird thing. We know there's something, but it's a little off to the side. It's literally a little off to the side.
Yeah.
And it sounds like in your palpation, it's literally off to the side.
Yes, it's off to the side. That's a good one.
And there it is. So you've got a map to map out deficiency and excess of each of the organs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the earth, I should mention, the earth I find deficiency is the hardest for me to palpate. Thomas Sorensen was talking about a ring like around the umbilicus. Because it's like basically navel is earth deficiency. I find this one a little bit harder to diagnose, but whenever you palpate all around the umbilicus and there is discomfort all around it, usually there's a earth deficiency. And sometimes it's a small intestine because the organ is just under it. So it depends of all the other clinical information you put together. It's a big puzzle all the time.
I'm John Stan, co-creator of AcuFast Needles and Accessories. I've been an acupuncturist for 35 years, and I know how easy it is to get comfortable in our clinic flow, the needles we use, and the routines we follow. But what if 10 colleagues rave about a needle they love? One that's good for the environment. Would you hesitate to jump on board? Or what if I told you that for just 50 cents more per treatment, you could add oxygen and shade to the planet? Would you spend the extra pennies? Or simply raise your fee that tiny bit? These are the choices practitioners face when first considering our AcuFast earth-friendly needle. For some, change is super easy. For others, it takes some effort. Yet, clinics worldwide are making AcuFast the fastest growing needle brand. And that's despite competitors trying to imitate us. Why? Because we're more than just a great needle. We're about solutions. Our accessories make multi-needle packaging smooth, fast, and controlled, so you can focus on patients, not packaging. So join me and the thousands of practitioners in our movement, because for every 2 boxes a clinic uses, we plant a tree. I encourage you to visit acufastneedles.com/geological today for samples and to learn more.
It is a big puzzle. And even though it's a big puzzle, there are, what's the word that I'm searching for here? There are things that kind of rhyme with each other in a way that help you to make sense.
Yes.
Some days it's very, very clear. Other days it's still a little puzzling, but you've got enough to working on and see what happens, which I think is the fun part, because that's where you really learn things.
Oh, yeah. And the discoveries that I'm making, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And yeah, what people experience when they come back and they're like, whatever you did, 4 needles, that's all they needed, 4 needles. And they come back and they're like, what did you just do? And they're all excited to tell me everything about it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the fun part, because I was like, okay, I was able to understand that little part of the puzzle. Now I finished like one section. Now let's go to another section, because the body is so complex in the end. It's
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
My patients will often say a very similar thing. What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Because the tacit agreement of medicine is the doctor does something and the patient gets better. For me, the thing that is an even more interesting question is, what did they just do? What just happened in them that the right points are selected that allow this dance of the phases to recalibrate things?
Yeah.
And they do it. We don't do it. We put a few needles in. That's our piece of the job, but the healing never comes from us. It always comes through them, right? We get to facilitate, but it comes through them. I'm always so fascinated. Like, how did they do that? What happened with those phases and chi that allowed this to happen? Because that's the key to understanding more.
Yeah, and that's often that's why I ask them to participate in their treatment, and then they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You, like, whatever. Sometimes they call me a fairy or a magician or a witch or whatever they want to call me. I'm just like, well, we did that together. You gave me the information. It's not just me. And very often, the more they invest themselves in their own treatment and they participate and they feel, they need to concentrate on their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
They need to tell me which one hurts the most and what screams in their body. And if sometimes they're not present, or maybe sometimes they're either distracted or they dissociate because they're coming from trauma, or sometimes everything hurts. And I ask them, okay, does it hurt like a deficiency, or does it hurt like an excess to you? Because sometimes everything hurts.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I'm like, I have those patients, every point I palpate, it's painful. They just feel it. They're just like very enhanced. So I'm like, so I press, I'm like, is this feeling like a deficiency pain or an excess pain? And they tell me, and it's like, no, this feels full. Oh no, this feels deficient, but they still feel the pain. So it's not just me. They need to participate. They're fully active participants in their treatment. And that's how I get to tell them, well, we did this together. This is not just me. Take your credit in your healing, and just showing up also is half of the treatment is done by showing up.
Yeah, what's that famous phrase about success? 90% of success is showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's that. Now, when you have a situation where maybe they're having a hard time figuring out, is this painful, is it not, or what kind of pain? I love your question about, is it excess or deficient? That just invites them into a whole different experience of their pain. Usually when you ask people about pain, they go, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And so to prompt them that, oh, there could be different kinds of hurt. Yeah, I can imagine that just engages something else in them. That's very interesting. I look forward to trying that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But on your side of it, do you at times just like feel that beyond the pain that they may feel or not feel, do you pay attention to how the tissue feels to you? And regardless of what they say, it's just like, oh yeah, this area here, it's tight as a drum, and this one over here, soggy as a bog.
Yeah.
And just go on what you feel.
Sometimes I have to.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't even give me any feedback in the moment. It happens a lot with people with long-term trauma or very, very chronic issues. I don't get direct feedback on the table. And then they come back and they're like, oh, the treatment you did was amazing. I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any change in the moment, but they come back and I was like, oh, that feels better here. Interesting. So, or the pulse sometimes will feel different. So sometimes I rely on my own sensations for sure. Most of the time I trust them, but sometimes also they're like, no, it's fine. And I know it hurts and I can feel their body kind of,
right.
no,
Their
it's
body
fine.
tenses
Really?
up.
Like,
Yeah.
And then I go in, no, it's fine. And it's, okay, well, you don't have to please me. Like, you don't, if it doesn't help, you're not helping me just by telling me everything's fine.
Yeah. Well, some people, they're, for whatever reason, they like to think of themselves as tough. So it's like, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I'm fine. No, does that hurt? Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I hope you stop doing that soon, but I'm fine. Okay.
So very often I'll ask them to compare. If they say like, I'm fine. Okay, which side, if there was any side, which one hurts the most or which one is the tightest? Oh, the left one. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Yes, you're fine. Let me give you some.
But if there was anything, which side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like tricking children into going to bed. Would you like to put your pajamas on and have a snack, or would you like to have a snack and put your pajamas on?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I ask, and sometimes they're like, no pain. How about tightness? Because sometimes they just feel it. Oh, yeah, it is tight. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how tight is this one? And then they give me numbers. Sometimes they like it. And I'm like, oh, this is a 2. Okay, what about this one? 3. Okay, so this one is more tight. This one has more discomfort to it. So.
Yeah, you have to be a little tricky, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little tricky. A little sneaky. I love them so much.
Fairies, you. Trickster healer.
Yeah.
Could you, wow, this is so cool. And I love the theory and like all the stuff that you're doing with this. Could you give us a case that kind of ties it together? Just walk us through what this is like.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about this one first case that I came across that was like, okay, this thing really works. I think that's probably one of the cases that will stay with me forever. I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, this woman with the electrical pain.
Mm.
So she's a long-term patient, 49-year-old, and she came in the past for anxiety, stress in her gut, a lot of digestive issues, but always linked to stress in general, feeling the anxiety and the flutters in her gut, and so that we cleared, and she was doing much, much better.
So you cleared it using what?
I used, at the time, we did a lot of regular Saam, and yeah, I think that was mainly what we did. Maybe, I believe we did some liver tonification, supplementing of the liver channel, the regular Saam. We might have done some Japanese acupuncture on the way as well, but yeah, maybe some spleen, large intestine rebalancing, as well as stomach and lung. I don't remember everything.
Okay, so you already had a head start with her.
Yes.
With regular Saam.
Yeah.
And then something else happens.
Well, she had, have to mention, she had a C-section ages ago, and even after 16 years, it was still painful, the C-section, the scar. And so we helped with that a little bit. She was doing a little bit better. And sometimes she would get hip pain. And I was pretty sure the hip pain was connected to the C-section maybe. But she's also a runner. She's super healthy. She loves running. And sometimes she would get some knee pain, and she would pause the running for a bit. And but then sometimes, some tightness in her hip. So she comes one day, and she comes regularly, maybe every month or 2 months or 3 months, just to come and say hi and work on something. And she was having the tightness in her left hip that was coming and going. Now the pain was starting in her groin and going down her leg, down to her ankle, along the spleen and liver channel. And the pain would wake her up in the middle of the night. It would feel like an electric wave, like really, really strong. And that's when she said, like, it's so painful. The only thing that helps is if I contract my leg. So then the pain would eventually stop and fade away. And it would only happen at night when she was fully resting. Nothing during the day, just at night. She was also having a rash in her lower abdomen, like very, very low abdomen, quite large actually. And it started, she was on vacation, so she thought maybe it's the soap that I used for my underwear or my bathing suit. She was in a cottage or something. And so, but the rash would come and go. And then she realized it's actually coming and going once a month, every time with her period.
Mm-hmm.
And it would get red and itchy and swollen during her period. So that the rash started in December, and she came for the leg pain in March or April, something like that. And I had just discovered the cooling and warming. I think I didn't even have the points put together. I had to ask her, can you give me a minute? I want to try that. Or she was maybe my first case of the cooling warm.
Oh my God, you're like a mad scientist.
Yes, I am. But I also had this like long-term relationship with this patient that we have this bond trust, and she was like, go for it, let's try, I would not do this with a new patient, but yeah, I just wanted to try. And but also everything pointed there, because she's very healthy. She doesn't feel a lot of pain. She doesn't feel pain when I press on her points in general. She feels tightness, and liver too was super tight, but especially on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually what we do when we do Saam treatments, in the general Saam one, we treat the opposite side. And very often, it's the same as well with cooling and warming. I will feel the tension, and they will feel the pain on the opposite side. So the liver too on the right side was very tight. She's like, oh, that's really, really tight. And she had also tightness in lung 10 and heart 8. I believe on both sides, and her abdomen was showing fire excess, wood excess, water deficiency, metal, and wood deficiency. So there was a lot of things going on. But I had all the information I needed, which was pain at liver 2 or tightness at heartache, and I had fire excess, water deficiency, and wood deficiency. All the information was there. There was some other things going on for sure, but
you had the main pattern dialed in.
The main pattern, everything was there. So I was like, okay, let's try it. So we gave it a try. So I did the second one, actually. I did the second formula. I did Tonify liver 8 and lung 5. And I reduced heart 8 and liver 2. And the second I did that, all the reflex area in her abdomen got much better. And then the gurgling in her stomach started.
Oh, I love when I hear that. The
gurgling. It just starts right away. We usually did just lay on my treatment table and the gurgling starts already. I'm just like, okay, my work is done. I don't need to do anything. But, and then, so she said that the pain in her leg never came back. It was like this. She came back, like, I think like 2.5 months after that, she came back. And she's like, oh yeah, the pain in my leg, it never came back. It was gone. Like the last time she had the pain was the night before she came in for her session in March. And she's like, but guess what happened also? The rash on my abdomen started to fade away over the next few days, and then it was completely gone. The rash on her abdomen faded away just after the treatment.
Was that rash in one of the reactive areas by any chance?
It was not. It was lower than that.
It was lower than that.
It was lower than that. But it was like, it was very much like connected to liver channel. And it was every month with her period.
So you drained the liver.
So I did a cooling draining treatment.
Cooling, draining. I shouldn't say drain the liver. That's a different Saam treatment. You did a cooling of the liver using draining.
Yes.
Wow.
That was really wild. That was cool. And she came back, 2.5 months ago. And the rash started to come back a little bit after 2.5 months. And then we repeated the treatment again because there was still some tension. We repeated the treatment again and it never came back ever. And it's been more than a year now, and I've seen her many times, and no more rash, no more pain.
That was that.
That was that.
Isn't it amazing that you can hear something or see something like you did on the Facebook group and go, oh, I think there's something here.
Yes.
Oh, it's like finding a treasure map and there's like an X, like I'm going to dig here. And you take the basic principles of what you know, you add to it whatever else you might happen to know. You happen to have some markers from doing the Japanese acupuncture that were reliable indicators for you, so you could orient to what's going on. And you just start mixing it up and see what you get.
Yeah, it's like cooking or baking, I guess, for me.
Well, those are kinds of magic as well.
Yeah.
Like a really well-cooked meal.
Yeah.
Right? The perfectly, like, smoked brisket that took 24 hours. Attention to temperature. I mean, there's magic all over the place when you pay attention.
Yeah, and I don't know, that was definitely, I was like, there is something there, and maybe that also got me more interested in searching. And since then, don't get me wrong, I use regular Saam all the time, and I also use the palpation to tell me if I got the right Saam as well, because sometimes, like the liver supplementing that I did in the past for these people, and it actually caused them more problem because I was seeing heat above, cold below, and that was actually just a problem in heat distribution. That wasn't so. So now I also use the palpation to confirm all my Saam treatments.
The same palpation?
Yes.
You're doing the water and the fire points?
well, I do the water and fire points because I want to see if the fire and water, the cooling and warming would be applicable. But no, I'm going to check liver 4 to see if my liver channel is deficient.
Ah, okay.
If I have a patient showing up with a metal excess and a wood deficiency in the abdomen, and they have pain or tension at liver 4, and their liver 8 is empty, then I have my recipe. I'm going to supplement liver. And then I also look, is Sanjiao 3, which is a shoestring point on the Sanjiao channel, is Sanjiao 3 puffy, painful, stagnant? That also gives me an indication that there might be some obstruction in the channel. So I use all the theory that we learned at school, and I palpate, and I see where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So if you find some excess in the triple burner channel, it's like, oh, okay, that's another indication to tonify the liver to balance it out.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not there, but I still feel, because sometimes they're just deficient, and their Sanjiao is okay. It's not a problem. It's just the liver is very deficient. So I'm still going to do it, but I will confirm with my palpation in the abdomen. And very often I get good results. And if I get the good treatment, also the entire abdomen is better.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you also check tongue and pulse?
I do. Yeah. I check. I don't look at the tongue so much anymore because I started practicing during COVID and we were all wearing masks. I completely stopped doing it. Well, and then now I'm trying to do it a little bit more, but I have so much information just from observation and from my hands, and so I don't feel that I need it as much. But I do pulse. The first thing I do is pulse, but I do basic, like is it rapid, is it slow, is it deficient, is it excess, and then do I feel more yin, do I feel more yang? And then I look at the position as well. Do I feel like a surging excess at small intestine and emptiness at kidney? I compare all the pairs. If I suspect that there is something with the digestion, I'll look into all like spleen, stomach, large intestine, and lung, and I'll try to see, is there an excess yin, is there an excess yang, is there filling, and then I will also come back after putting the needles and check in if there's any change in there. But yeah, I use all the tools that I can. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I can't wait to go into clinic. This happens almost all the time. I talk to somebody, it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let's go investigate.
Yes.
And I love the hands-on stuff. Again, I'm entirely too often in my head. And I love it when I can just sense, not think, but instead sense. Maybe bring some thinking in later. But that sensing piece the sensing is one of the most challenging parts for me, which I think is why it's so interesting. It's like, I know there's something there, and if I work it long enough, I mean, over the years, it has paid some dividends, but I just feel like it's a deficient spot for me that always needs a little attention. So I really appreciate our conversation today that is, in very, very specific ways, points me at some things to go investigate. This will be fun.
I hope you reach out with any questions. I'd be happy to help. And sometimes having an external point of view, I talk a lot with Daniel Schumann. Like, we do discuss case studies together a lot. Yeah, but it is cool when things come together, and then I feel that I have created something with that, and
totally, it's very satisfying.
It is very satisfying.
It's very satisfying. Now, before we wind it down for today, you're such an innovative, creative character. Is there anything that's kind of like on the horizon for you, or just at the edge of your interests that's like, I want to investigate this thing as well? Maybe not there yet, but is there anything else that has your attention at this moment, or are you just digging away on the treasure map that you found on the forum?
Well, I did start exploring the other three elements on the wheel because sometimes I feel that someone has they have a lot of fire, but they're not necessarily lacking the water. It's more like a metal deficiency. And sometimes because of the cooling is very intense, like because it's a draining treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think like, what if we could do not a cooling, but more of a metal cooling, which would be a different one, which would be, it's not the draining formula, it's the supplementing formula. Instead of balancing the water and fire, we balance fire and metal.
Mm-hmm.
So because of their relationship is different, the fire is controlling the metal. Then if I tonify the metal, it's not a draining formula, it's a supplementing formula.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this.
and I tried actually, I tried something with one of my patients that I've been seeing forever. Like, I think more than 4 years I've been seeing her. In her case, her liver 3, which is wood, on wood, was very, very, very puffy and very painful. I believe I ended up balancing wood and earth. I believe that's what I did with her migraines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I started to play around a little bit, but it makes it way more complicated.
Yes, it makes it more complicated. You need to make some charts up.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm hearing a simplicity in this because you're taking a principle, and it's a principle that you can see with tonifying or draining to do heating or cooling. But as with everything in the 5 phases, you should be able to take it all the way around the clock.
Yes.
So that is a worthwhile investigation. And yeah, how much fun is that?
Well, it is a lot of fun. Like, I can never get bored ever in clinic. Yeah.
Of course not. Yeah, no, that's great. I look forward to at some point sitting down with you again and we can talk about some of these other things that you're doing after you've had a chance to mad scientist them for a while.
Yes, I would love that too.
Okay. Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks so much for your time. This has really been wonderful.
Thank you, Michael. This was an honor. And I really wish we could get to do this again. Seriously.
We will.
A lot of fun. I didn't think I would like it so much. Being put on the spot with the microphones and the recording and all. But it was really, really pleasant exchange.
It's fun to talk about medicine.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's that.
Yeah.
And discoveries and yeah.
And sharing the discoveries.
I get really excited. You can probably notice.
Yes, I could tell.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes a little bit too much, but it's fun. Thank you.
Until next time then.
Until next time. Thank you, Michael.
Well, that wraps up the weather report with Roseline. It's a fundamental principle that our bodies carry their own climate. Sometimes too much fire, sometimes an excess of cold water pooling where it doesn't belong. Something I appreciate about Roseline's work is how she uses observation, a patient's idiosyncratic use of language, and the feel beneath her hands to sketch out those hidden weather patterns. I loved hearing about how she doesn't just rely on theory, but lets her curiosity guide her, treating patient stories like maps, following the clues, and testing them against what she feels in the body. It's part musician's improvisation, part cartographer's careful tracing of terrain. Together, these sensibilities create a kind of living map that tells her where to place the needles. Once again, I'm reminded that medicine isn't static. It's not just what we learned from a teacher. Medicine has a liveliness to it that expands when we step out of the solutions of the past and follow the questions that arise in clinic. Roseline's approach shows how heating and cooling aren't just abstract ideas, but practical ways to bring balance, change, and sometimes surprisingly effective results. Well, here we are at the end of this episode. If you've listened up to this point, you're either a rabid fan of Qiological or the forward button on your podcast player stopped working. If you are indeed a fan of the podcast, you can help us to bring new episodes to our community of practitioners by supporting us with a membership or a one-time contribution. Details, of course, are on the website. That's it for today, friends. Join us again next Tuesday for another thoughtful episode of Qiological.